Part 1. The harmattan wind swept gently through the village of Kajana, carrying with it the smell of red earth and roasted maize. Life in Kajana moved to the rhythm of sunrise and sunset, of drums at celebrations and silence at grief. Amara had always loved that rhythm. She believed it was where kindness was born. In the small moments, the shared labor, the way neighbors watched over one another's children as if they were their own. Amara had been married to Kofi for 7 years. They were once the kind of couple people admired quietly, the way one admires a steady river that never runs dry. Kofi was a respected teacher at the village secondary school, known for his discipline and sharp mind. Amara ran a small tailoring shop, stitching school uniforms and wedding dresses, her fingers quick and her heart generous. When someone could not pay on time, she smiled and said, "Pay when you can." Cloth can wait, but dignity cannot. Yet beneath their calm life lay a wound that refused to heal. They had no child. In Kajana, childlessness was not just a private sorrow, it was a public sentence. Whispers followed Amara to the well. Elders clicked their tongues in pity. Kofi's mother, Abena, prayed loudly every morning, asking the ancestors to open the door of the womb. Amara prayed too, but quietly, with tears soaking into her mat at night. When the rumors began, they did not announce themselves loudly. They crept in like ants, patient and destructive. Someone noticed that the newborn boy of Yaa, Amara's cousin, had the same dimple as Kofi. Someone else whispered that the child's eyes resembled his. Kofi laughed when he first heard it, dismissing it as village nonsense. But doubt, once planted, grows even in dry soil. The breaking point came when a traveling health worker visited Kajana, offering free medical tests, including DNA testing, something few villagers truly understood but everyone feared. Kofi, encouraged by friends who claimed truth must be faced, insisted that Amara go with him. She agreed without hesitation, believing honesty had nothing to fear. The results arrived weeks later, sealed in an envelope that felt heavier than stone. Kofi opened it alone at the school office. When he came home that evening, his face was hard, unfamiliar. "So," he said coldly, placing the paper on the table, "the child is mine." Amara felt the room spin. "What child?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Do not pretend," Kofi snapped. "Ya's son. The test says he is my blood. You betrayed me. You could not give me a child, yet you carried another man's shame into my family." Amara read the paper with shaking hands. She did not understand the numbers or words, but she saw Kofi's name and the bold stamp that declared a match. Her heart broke not because of the accusation, but because Kofi believed it. "I have never cheated on you," she said softly. "Not in body, not in spirit." Kofi turned away. Kindness does not erase truth. From that day, Amara became a stranger in her own home. Kofi moved to sleep in the outer room. Meals were eaten in silence. Eventually, he sent her back to her father's house, declaring that until the shame was resolved, she was no longer his wife. Her father welcomed her without questions. Her mother washed her feet and whispered prayers over her. But the village did not show the same mercy. Some women refused to greet her. Children repeated words they did not understand. Only a few, those who remembered Amara's kindness, still smiled at her. Amara could have grown bitter, but she chose another path. She began helping at the small clinic, assisting expectant mothers, sewing baby clothes for those who could not afford them, even for Ya's child. When people questioned her, she said, "A child should never carry the sins adults imagine." One evening, the same traveling health worker returned, troubled. He had discovered errors in several DNA tests due to contaminated samples and poor storage. His conscience would not allow silence. He searched for Kofi, but found only closed doors and stubborn pride. So he went to Amara. "Daughter," he said gently, "there may have been a mistake." Amara listened quietly, her eyes steady. "Truth has its own time," she replied. "If it must come, let it come clean." The wind outside carried the drums of a naming ceremony. Somewhere, life continued, and unknown to Kofi, the roots of his certainty were already beginning to crack. Part 2. The second test was conducted months later, this time in the city, under strict supervision. Kofi agreed reluctantly, driven more by pressure from the elders than belief in Amara's innocence. His heart had hardened, wrapped tightly around wounded pride. When the results came back, There was no ambiguity. The child was not his. Silence filled the elders' council hut as the truth settled like dust after a storm. The room that once echoed with accusations now felt unbearably quiet. Kofi stared at the paper, his hands trembling. The certainty he had clung to dissolved, leaving behind a hollow ache. The elders sent for Amara. She arrived dressed simply, her head held high. There was no triumph in her eyes, only calm. Kofi could not meet her gaze. "My son," the chief said to Kofi, "you accused without mercy. Truth has spoken. What do you say?" Kofi fell to his knees. "I was wrong," he said, his voice breaking. "I allowed fear and pride to blind me. I shamed a good woman." The villagers watched closely, waiting for anger, for bitterness, for the fire they believed must live in a woman so wronged. But Amara stepped forward and placed her hand gently on Kofi's shoulder. "We all stumble," she said. "But not all of us choose to stand again." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Kofi wept openly. "How can you forgive me after what I did?" Amara looked at him, remembering the man who once shared his last coin with a stranger, who taught children with patience, who laughed easily before doubt poisoned his joy. "Because kindness saved me when you could not," she replied. "And I will not let bitterness make me someone I am not." The elders ruled that Kofi must publicly apologize and make amends. He did more than required. He restored Amara's shop, repaired her father's roof, and stood beside her in the market, declaring his wrong before all. Yet Amara did not rush back into his home. "I forgive you," she told him, "but trust must be rebuilt slowly, like a wall laid brick by brick." During that time, another truth emerged. Medical tests revealed that Kofi himself could not father children. The revelation crushed him. He expected Amara to turn away forever. Instead, she held his hand. "A family is more than blood," she said. "It is care, patience, and the courage to choose love again." They decided together to adopt 2 orphan siblings from a nearby village, children who had lost everything to sickness. When Amara brought them home, she sewed their clothes herself. Kofi taught them to read under the mango tree. The same villagers who once whispered now watched in awe. They saw a woman who chose kindness over revenge, truth over pride, healing over hatred. They saw a man humbled, changed by grace he did not deserve but gratefully received. Years later, when the children were grown, the story of Amara was told around fires at night, not as a tale of betrayal, but as a lesson. That accusations can wound deeper than spears. That truth may be delayed but never lost. And that kindness, when chosen in the face of injustice, has the power to heal not just one heart, but an entire community. In Kajana, people learned that day that blood may tell one story, but character tells another, and that the greatest legacy is not found in DNA, but in compassion passed from one soul to another.